All right. So, welcome to the latest episode of Otaku Nightly Hour with us. I'm here with Raptor and
Yo.
happy 2023, am I right?
Yeah, it's so new to me. It's still trying to set in. Slowly but surely, it's gonna make its way into my mind.
I don't
I'm
know
going to go
why.
from writing 22, when I just barely got used to it, to 23.
I don't know why this happens every year, but I'm just sleepy on the first like week of New Year's. But here we are, and I wanted to talk about because of the New Year and such like that. Let's reminisce a little bit about today's topic, which is what anime has changed over the years since our childhood when anime first became versus what anime is now these days. And that touches upon not just the medium itself, but also the culture that surrounds anime as well.
So what? So how far back are you gonna stretch this? From like early 2010s, 2000s, 1990s, or like earlier?
I wanted
How
to
far back do you mean?
I wanted to point it to the point to the time where anime was just getting popular here in the West and such because
Oh, 90s, 2000s?
yeah, 90s and 2000s, mostly just because I was born around that time. And one of the things that I remember when I was younger was that anime was considered just, just other standard cartoons at the time and such like that, especially with what anime that we are getting at that time is Pokemon, Dragon Ball, and Yu-Gi-Oh for the masses, and Bleach if you stayed up until Adult Swim, and Inuyasha.
What, are you not gonna include Naruto in that?
I
Wow.
said Naruto.
I don't think I heard Naruto at all.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
no. Naruto was also Naruto's in that weird area where it's Saturday night TV, but like in the hour in which it's right before Adult Swim, in a sense,
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Toonami, right? R.I.P. Toonami.
Yeah, R.I.P. Yeah, because I mean, like, to me, all of those were just like really weird cartoons.
Yeah, and again,
What
I
is an
think
anime
that's
even?
And even so, I think like when we were younger and stuff like that, or even adults at the time, like becoming adults slash adults that were watching this at the time, I don't think they realized it was anime at the time because of the fact that it was just becoming kind of a popular thing in the West at the time. Like it was like the little curve, the little beginning before we get to the peak of the curve, and like oh my god, anime back then. If you if you were associated with anime and stuff like that, man, you were a loser.
You
Let's
were a
be
complete nerd,
let's
a
be fair.
dweeb, a no life.
No, like what was it back then? A lot of people's perception of anime was that it was super violent, it was super sexualized and such like that, and it kind of didn't help that the animes that we did see at the time that were of those three were some of the quote unquote big three, which is Naruto, Bleach, and Dragon Ball at the time, where
No One
they
Piece?
One Piece was also, but again, that was also One
There's different
Piece.
definitions on the big three.
Yeah, but like like generally, it was very gory, very violent and such. Much more violent than the cartoons that we were at the time and such. But then
Oh
again,
yeah,
we were under
back in my
cartoon.
days,
But other
back in my days, like junior ninjas would go out there into like the wilderness and just break each other's arms. That was, how youth was back in the day.
And to be fair, by violent we mean where they showed gore. Because yes, we did have cartoon violence in Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and such like that. But there was never really any harm out of all of that violence coming out of it and such. They would walk again the next day as if nothing ever happened and such like that.
Or even the
Versus
next minute in some cases.
yeah, but then versus like I'm gonna bring up Naruto again because Naruto was the show that I used to watch a lot and such like that. People died.
People lived one episode and then they just didn't the next. You would never see them again.
Mm-hmm. And
It was whack.
unless you were Pokemon, yeah,
Or Dragon Ball.
no one's gonna faint and oh, just bring them back. They'll be back in no time. No. No one got over the fact that Neji died.
True.
And then
My
again,
boy, my boy Neji. He's still mourning his death to this day. But who's Neji?
you wanna know what's also something considerably different than now these days?
Well, there are several different points I can quickly refer to, but yeah, you can go quick.
Dubbing.
Yes, for sure.
And what I mean by
Has
that,
that
for some
changed?
people, well, I mean, we didn't have, we don't have 4 kids dubbing like we do now.
Technically, we still do. Depending on what company is picking up the dub for it, they may well, from what I've heard, some actually interject or like twist some words or phrases around. Even with the subtitles, they still may change the meaning. A recent one that I can quickly refer to is Chainsaw Man, and just a huge hype about it. We're gonna ignore most of it except for this one scene with spoiler alert, the future devil, and like one of the biggest like issues with that whole scene was the way the words were presented in the manga and like in the original like sense of that scene. He tells the guy, "You're gonna die a horrific and gruesome death." But in like when you change it up to the anime, he says, "Your death is gonna be freaking awesome. I want to be there to see it." There is a big distinction between the two.
Now, would you think that's because of culture appropriation, religious appropriation, or because of creative choice?
There is no specific reasoning as to why. There's no official like statement on it. But if I had to guess, it
Like
may
in
be
your
just
own
a
opinion?
personal bias.
Yeah.
Because maybe someone just doesn't like the idea of this person having to suffer a gruesome death, and so they're just like, okay, well, what if I just change it to it being you're gonna have a completely awesome, this so radical tubular death. It's gonna be phenomenal, like.
Yeah, now okay, now is the villain saying this to the main character and such? I haven't really watched Chainsaw Man, so I
So
can't
people can
really.
just form contracts with these devils. The future devil isn't really like a bad guy. It's a devil, so take that as you will. They're
Uh,
not inherently good by nature, but it's
but
not the
I
main
asked
antagonist.
this.
It's not the big bad of the story.
Well, yeah.
It's something that's gonna really help be a huge power up to one of the like side characters,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like a prominent character in the story. Actually, no, they're not a side character. They're one of the main characters in the story.
Uh,
And so for them to get this big power boost and be told, you're gonna have an awesome way of dying, and then, well, depends on how they actually do the animation and the scene for it. Because in all likelihood, maybe they just change it, and and it does become the super awesome death instead of it being this violent, horrific, and gruesome death that you
was
know.
depicted in the manga
Yeah, because
or described.
people just call him the devil, not the future devil, because it's saying like basically how you'll die. And
Yeah.
if you're like, in the story and you really care about these people, you don't want to know how they die. You're gonna die a horrific, gruesome death by XYZ. Like, oh no, now we know how this person's. Well, first of all, now we know where they're gonna die. Second of all, it sounds like they're gonna die within the story, so big spoilers right there.
Yeah, but no, here's the thing. Why I say this is that um back then 4 Kids was notorious for changing things in the story just because it's a Christian dubbing
Back then, they were a lot
Christian
more
channel.
censored.
It was
Right.
very censored and such like that. So imagine in Yu-Gi-Oh
Imagine
where
Chainsaw Man. Imagine having to do a 4 kids dub for Chainsaw Man.
oh no, Chainsaw Man wouldn't even be on 4 Kids. Chainsaw Man would be on Adult Swim.
Exactly, but imagine if they did it anyways.
But like, just for frame of reference, which I am aware, Yu-Gi-Oh is a very poor example from then and now because they still technically do a lot of censorship on Yu-Gi-Oh now. The last time I checked and such, which is
Ooh,
all the
you know
way
what?
to 5D and such like that. But imagine prominent characters, they're being threatened, right? And such, you would think that they're being threatened at gunpoint and such like that. No, 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 no. Not for 4 Kids. We can't show this to the children. Finger guns.
Here, another one is actually One Piece. I think in one of the episodes, like the chef who just like is first of all a big womanizer. Second of all, he smokes often. He smokes frequently. And the 4 kids dub is replaced with the lollipop.
Yeah, but the thing is that at least with that, the other end will resemble, uh, a
It's not
cigarette.
a major like difference like what you see in Yu-Gi-Oh, where they're all just using
No,
finger
One
guns.
Piece was also a victim of this and such. Zoro is a character with who does the three blades technique, so meaning that he has to have swords and such.
Yeah.
Specifically, he carries around katana and everything. But because 4 Kids doesn't want to show kids that you could play around with swords, very dangerous swords. In fact, it's balloon swords,
He carries around balloon swords with him everywhere he
and
goes.
it's
He's
just
that
like
dedicated to his craft.
uh-huh. And I think it's now in your opinion, is this like what is it, like just plain like um what was it? I forgot the word. The word like it destroys the original craft that it was and such, because you're basically drawing over the frames of the original anime and such, which by the way is a lot more work than it claims to be, honestly. Drawing over and trying to make it look natural and such like that is a lot harder than just leaving it as it is and trying to write yourself the story out of it.
Yeah, so that's a really good point to consider
Because these back then these were
because
cell animated at the time too,
these were
probably.
still animated. Yeah, like by hand. There wasn't a whole lot of 3D involved in it. So,
Yeah, it's not like you have the digital file. You could just kind of like, like ink over it and stuff like that and then just like fix it and everything. No, 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 no. These people had to wipe off on the cell and then draw it over again and do that for every other cell that's on the screen of this in this case for Zoro, his swords.
yeah, no, like no kidding cuz who gets paid for this?
Hmm.
And for what? Just to uh change like a few key important things about like a specific character or their specific trait just to
Protect the children.
protect the children. I mean, these kids were well. First of all, now they're grown up, but like, I mean, first of
They're
all, like
you and
these
me.
kids
They're you and me.
back in this era. I mean, like, I feel like if 4 Kids like had kept going on, like it would have been like really sheltered and very like not even cultured. It would have just been a huge like void of culture for what was supposed to be because I mean,
Oh, don't get me started. Don't get me started with the fact that they hated anything that was foreign and stuff like that. Look at okay, Tokyo Mew Mew was another anime that was on 4 Kids. Not super popular like the other animes that I've talked about, but basically Tokyo Mew Mew is another version of the magical girl aspect of Sailor Moon. Except the twist on this is that instead of they get their powers from being related to like the planets and such, or being blessed by space and everything, they're blessed by a experiment gone wrong to choose who will save the world from aliens by being fusioned with an endangered species.
I don't know if you could say you're blessed with an experiment gone wrong. I think at that point you're just
blessed
cursed.
blessed is a heavy quotations, because technically, which by the way, spoiler territory is on this, the aliens were supposed to be here and they were rightfully supposed to be here. Technically we weren't supposed to be here, kind of BS that was shown later in the story, but I digress. The the thing is
Nice.
is that this is plainly Japan. The classrooms are Japan. The streets are Japan. The freaking Tokyo Towers in the middle of the street and stuff. This takes place in Tokyo, right?
Really, with a title like Tokyo Mew Mew, I thought it took place in France.
No, no, no. In English, it's called Mew Mew Power.
Amazing.
And all the writing on storefronts, signs, anything that looks anything like kanji, katakana, or any Japanese whatsoever writing gets just, it's not even written over to be like, oh, here's grocery store or laundromat. They don't even try to put the effort. They just erase them.
Amazing.
So you'll see random stop signs with no text on it.
I mean, it takes place in a world where you're just supposed to know what that shape is and what it means.
Yeah, but
You
then
don't need to write stop sign on it. You just know like
the
this red
universal.
sign is stop.
But the thing is that not every country has the same shape of a stop sign.
No, no,
Ironically
no, no,
enough.
no. I don't want to hear it. Every single stop sign is the exact same shape. Every single grocery store is the exact same shape. Every single like restaurant is the exact same shape.
And yes, every
There is no
tower has a
variety in this
Tokyo
world.
tower that looks exactly like this everywhere and such. Not just Paris, France has it. Like screw the French
Everyone,
question mark.
everyone has it.
Everyone has a version of their of the tower in some way or another, big or small. But anyway,
Exactly.
but yeah, that was like the censorship that they did. They didn't even like the fact that other foreign countries were gonna be exposed to kids because kids don't need to know about other countries. They live in America. To the
America.
point to the point that in 4 Kids there's an ad. You can find it on YouTube and such. There's a video of them for the 4th of July. They had the stars of 4 Kids sing the national anthem, including Sonic the Hedgehog from Sonic X, and the
Amazing.
stars of One Piece, and Zoe from Mew Mew Power, which by the way, her name is Ichigo from Tokyo Mew Mew, not Zoe.
Now, is it a little American centric? A little. I'd say so. Is it
I
very patriotic? Somewhat.
now the
Is it a
thing
good
is that
idea? Definitely not.
now what's the first anime that you could think of where they really embraced the culture of Japanese culture to incorporate it in the dub and such, like English speaking people trying to incorporate Japanese terms into the anime, not like cutting them out and
Oh,
stuff.
like
What's
making a
the first?
genuine effort to keep them in there?
Yeah, and such like that. Like they honor it and such, but they try to
Okay,
make they translate it well enough where it sounds like this is naturally in the script written for English instead of just a Google Translate the script from Japanese to English.
that is a really hard thing to decide on.
For me, I'm gonna propose Orin High School Host Club.
And that's like something I feel like I okay, so I feel like you're just kind of like talking at random with no key points. Let's talk about like a few like significant changes that have happened since then. Like
Okay,
what are some of the biggest things?
so one of the biggest things is obviously animation quality gone up significantly.
Yes, they were with a lower budget back then, but I mean like now, I mean you have like amazing 3D like high def
I mean, not only that, but
quality.
you also have to give the fact that technology is advanced,
Yeah, for sure.
even though animators are still underpaid.
Even though they're underpaid. Okay, well, a thing I want to like bring up as well is that there's also been like a huge variety like since the early 2000s. Like we've gone from like the big three or the big four or like the early anime into like this huge like like explosion in like content and variety. And there's
Yeah.
like different genres that have emerged since. But I mean, like we'll get on that like in a bit.
Well, like okay, and then another point that I wanted to talk about is not specifically about anime specifically, but the culture around anime. Because
It's
back
like
then it used to be really, really bad to be associated with anime and such,
yeah,
or
but
even
like now it's
admitting
like
that you
really
like
well known, right?
to the point that it's kind of normal for people to like anime.
Yeah, so like it's like wild how like anime's like now on the international scale. Everyone kind of knows about it. Everyone knows about it. Some people like a good chunk of people may even just watch one or two anime now.
Yeah. And like let's go on the first topic and such like that, which is to talk about the simplest term. Anime quality gone up, great, and such like that. Like first of all, it used to be like much of animation. It used to be just cells shaded and such. So holding poses in anime like characters just stand there, they'll just talk for a long time and you're wondering what the hell are they doing and such like that. It's
I'm glad you're
mostly
really like flapping them lips, my dude, but like you're not even
you
moving
should
your
be
arms or anything.
you should be punching. Like I remember a lot of Dragon Ball episodes of them just standing there and talking while Goku's trying to charge up a spirit bomb here while Vegeta's getting Vegeta or Vegeta or Piccolo are getting their
Someone is
butts.
providing exposition here.
Yeah, and such like that, and they're all just there like I really should evacuate and such. But at the same time, someone needs to talk about what's going on in the battle without it, because if not, these guys are just gonna be going around punching each other's faces and screaming.
Exactly. I mean, they could have done that. They could have,
But like, here's a secret for everyone who
but they
doesn't
didn't.
understand animation. It was the animators trying to take a break because if they were doing like really long and visual animation like they do now and such back then, you wouldn't get your next episode every week. You would be getting your next episode every like 2 months.
Yeah, but hey, like I'm pretty glad like the techniques have improved and they're using like newer styles and new things to kind of just experiment and play around with. I mean, like some of the bigger studios nowadays are like starting to get into like 3D animation, or they're using 3D animation heavily for some of their anime projects.
Yeah, like we're not in Berserk territory of
Yeah,
poorly
it's
3D animated and stuff like that, but like I would like to say that some of the 3D animes that have shown have potential. Now, I'm not to say that we are to replace 2D anime with 3D anime, very much like how Disney's gone with their approach of having a fully 2D animated movie and now never again
yeah. I mean,
and such. Like, I'm just saying that in a sense that a lot of anime are learning to incorporate like 3D aspects
yeah,
to make their jobs a little bit easier. So, for example, if it's Gundam or something like that, sure, do the mecha suits in 3D and such like that. That's the easiest way to do it without having to animate it and such. And then have a the next scene be of the anime characters digitally drawn, which is basically what has replaced cell animation because one, it's not wasteful, and two, you could save your stuff and not lose it if it gets lost or damaged.
that sounds really convenient.
Mm-hmm. And such. Just go to the next scene. They're sitting in the mecha, they're talking, and they're doing everything. And then After Effects, you can add like stuff like the computers and everything, all the tech glitchy stuff going around them, and whatever explosions that are happening outside the window.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes it a whole lot easier, but at the same time, animators still have, in a sense, equal amount of workload as they did back then, which is ironic.
Yes.
And yet they're still not being paid enough. Which is, I guess it's a little strange to know that because, well, on one hand, we're having like super stellar like fight animations that we've seen like in My Hero as well as Chainsaw Man and as well as like really experimental dance teams and other like uh I guess like video capture like animation like Yuri on Ice's opening. That's all ice skating that you could capture from professional ice skaters to perform, as well as like poses that are very very reminiscent of actual play by plays like Kuroko no Basket and Hayaku.
Right.
But then we also get generally low I wouldn't say lower quality animation. I would say less effort animations with slice of life, which
Okay.
goes to our next topic that we brought up was that there's a more variety.
Yes, and I mean like I actually had to make like a quick list here while you were like explaining. And I mean like here's some like that just have either like exploded or have just been created like since our early childhood. I mean, Isekai for one,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is like one of the biggest thing. I feel like half the anime that come out nowadays are just like some type of Isekai or reincarnation or
It
just been
has its
like
own genre
transported
at this
away.
point. It has its
Yeah.
own genre. And
I
you
mean like
wanna know what's a genre that kind of has always been here, but it never was had its own genre until like I wouldn't say super recently. I would say somewhere in 2010, 2015 era is the slice of life genre. Because back then, if we were to have a quote unquote slice of life, it'd be pretty boring to air on national television. I'm not gonna lie.
national television.
It is. It's gonna be on Cartoon Network. That's the only place that where they got experimental with animation and such like that. Disney on most anime didn't want to give their properties to Disney and stuff, and Nickelodeon had its own studio, so Cartoon Network is the only one that they can experiment on, let alone Toonami.
Yeah. And I mean, aside from isekai, slice of life, one of the things that just kind of like has to do with like, you know, on the same level of slice of life. I think around the same time, the genre like a reverse harems also like came into existence, right?
Yeah, but that was I think that was also because of how in um Naruto there was a big kind of like war between Naruto and Sakura or Naruto and Hinata.
Right, but that wasn't like the big like harem thing. Like High School DxD was like one of the biggest ones to come out at the time, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
reverse
yeah.
harems.
Reverse harems, kind of. Fruits Basket at the time was, I think, its only representative, but even so, it wasn't really like you had like five different guys to choose from. It was more like just two,
Even
which
if there's
was
more than like, even if there's like
one
two or more, I mean like that's still technically
a
part
harem.
of the genre.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and if it's like and if the main like feature like is the female protagonist, well then there you got your reverse harem.
yeah, but then here's the thing: is that the for Fruits Basket, for example, and such like that, they had to incorporate a completely different plot line so that you could not only advertise it as slice of life, romance, reverse harem, and such like that. They had to put the fantasy aspect, which is the zodiac curse.
That's true.
So in a sense, I think because the genre didn't exist, it got categorized as a fantasy romance rather than a slice of life romance or a
Everything else.
yeah that we would categorize it with and such like that because it can only fit into back then most shows would categorize under two genres and that's it.
Yeah. And I mean like oh like here's another one. Like apart from isekai, there's also virtual reality.
Mm.
Or like on like in the gaming world, like in the gaming scene where like the anime takes place in like the games.
Yeah, because that was
What
considered like super duper futuristic, and then here we are with VR and meta.
here are now morbidly obese people playing SAO.
We're okay, okay. We're not SA. We're not in Sword Art Online's level of
No.
of
But I mean
future.
like
We're in Wally's level of future right now.
we're in the dark timeline. No. But I mean, like, so, like, there are SAO games that exist that you can play
Mhm.
about SAO, playing alongside your boy Kirito and Asuna. I mean, like, some people, I can only just imagine like these filthy neckbeards just playing it. Like, this is so VR. It is. This is the future we expected to see.
But then it's like okay, another genre that I think didn't really get into fruition was horror anime. Like okay, we had Death Note back in the day, but would you have considered that a mystery or a horror?
So there's actually a term for that, and you actually said it earlier. Psychological. Psych
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more about the inner like turmoil and like the psyche,
Oh no.
just like slowly losing his mind, slowly losing his like his humanity in a sense. And I mean that's a thing there. Another thing you can point to like with horror, even like I think it was like Madoka Magica.
No, Modoka Magica didn't come out until like 2012, didn't it?
Yeah, but that's still like part of the early like like 90s 2000s
No.
era.
I'm talking about like purely 2000s. From 2000 2009 is the last day that you could pick it on. Because
Okay.
2010 to 2019 is a different era altogether because of the fact that digital animation was becoming a little bit more into fruition at the time. And also, I'd like to call that as the appropriation timeline
Well, it
because of
says
the
that
fact
Madoka Magica came out in 2011.
yeah, but keep in mind, around that time, anime was becoming a little bit more popular, as well as the fact that they were coming to terms of appropriating Japanese at the time into from its original source into the shows that we see on the internet because of the fact that anime was showing less and less on TV, at least like a reasonable time kind of TV, unless you watched all the way past Family Guy,
Yeah.
on Adult Swim.
You gotta be up like at 3 or 4 in the morning to watch anime.
how I seen the meme so many times, but it's like people falling asleep in the middle of the night with the TV on and then waking up to the ED of Inuyasha just I mean it's a very good ED and stuff like that, but
In my
also at the
case,
same time like dang, that is something to wake up to. It's such a heart-wrenching song.
oh yeah, well, like in some other cases, like if you're like other people that just wake up like at 3 in the morning, like in a cold sweat, to just George Lopez playing "Low Ride," I'm just like, huh? What's happening?
I've never done that. I always fell asleep at a good time. I was a good kid, okay?
No, no, but I mean, some people just waking up in a cold sweat to that, just like playing, and they're like, "What's happening?" It just
Hey,
becomes
look,
less.
at least it's not like the jokes now where like if you're watching late night hour and such like that, dear hope to God you don't have a Google Home or a Alexa at home and stuff like that, and you wake up to the next morning that the host of the late night show pulled a prank on all of you and ordered you 200 tubes floating tubes the next day.
Oh no.
That's an actual prank from late night.
That's so sad.
He
Alexa,
did
play
that.
Despacito.
Anyway. So yeah, so like the anime at that time between 2010 to
No, wait,
2019,
wait.
which
There's even
is
more. There's even
mhm,
more. Like, I have a list here. There's more.
mhm.
Sports, food and cooking, music,
Oh yeah.
environmental. Environmental is more of a niche thing, but then there's even like more things that have emerged since office life, office romance, like just even working and just the joys that comes with that. For some reason, that's a thing for Japanese people. They
Mhm.
love seeing anime about people just working.
There's also anime about otakus, which is funny enough because of the fact that like we're just seeing ourselves, projecting ourselves into anime in a sense because like one of my favorite animes as of recently and such like that came out in 2020-ish. No, 2000 around the 2010 to 2019 era was Wotokoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku.
Oh, they say love is war. I was like, I feel like you're confusing it with something else.
No. Love is hard for an otaku because the point is that all these four people, they're different versions of otaku. Which, by the way, a lot of people think
By the
otaku is
way,
just
if you're an
anime nerd.
otaku, seek help.
No. So a lot of people think, at least for the Western definition, otaku is a term to describe an anime fan and such like that. When in Japan, ironically enough, otaku just means fanatic, meaning you're a big fan of something. So there are car otaku, there's DVD otaku, there's sports otaku and stuff like that. You just put the subject otaku, and it just means subject fanatic.
Ah, yes. What about the people who are otakus for just subjects in general? The concept of just like he's a subject otaku. He really loves talking about any kind and like will talk to you about any, and I mean any kind of subject.
Yeah. But
Creepy.
anyway,
But there's
Wotokai is a very interesting thing because it's a little bit of office, but also slice of life, but also romance, and also otaku life.
nice.
It's all of that combined, and yet it works because people are more interested, or at least like there's a growing number, not to say that people like it instead of, but there's a growing number of people that like quote unquote mundane relatable shows that we could put ourselves into rather than the high stakes fantasies that we had back in the day with Bleach, Naruto, and Dragon Ball. Not to say that they're outnumbered, they still exist and such. Do you know how many people were so hyped for Bleach to come back after its long hiatus?
No, it wasn't even a hiatus. It just ended then.
And
But
then we got that
I,
movie.
and then we got the movie, and then we got like this whole new 1,000 year blood war arc, and everyone just lost their minds, and they're just getting right back into it.
Honestly,
So it's wild.
great for Bleach fans. Honestly, I applaud them for being so patient for so long.
I don't even think they were patient. I think they just kinda, like made their peace with it. And like, all right, that's it. It's over. We just move on with our lives. Hey
And
guys, there's
then
like more
more
content.
budget.
What?
It's like being told. It's like being told like your favorite video game from 2002 is getting a remake in 2023 and being like, hold on a second, you remember that?
Oh boy, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Let's
No,
go.
no. I'm waiting for Sly Cooper to come back.
I'm waiting for the X and Y remakes.
Oh no, that's
I
ain't
would
happening.
love to see them like in new like Switch graphic, like
Gold, Heart
Mega
Gold Soul
Evolutions.
Silver remake. I want to walk around with my Pokemon again, like, but not Let's Go Eevee style. Okay.
That'd be pretty nice.
Like, I just don't want to play Pokemon Go mechanics, please. I want to play regular Pokemon mechanics where I
I
walk
like the
around with my
Let's
Pokemon.
Go mechanics for catching. I did not like that being like the main thing you had to do for every single thing. I would love to battle Pokemon as you would normally, but once
And
you go
then
into the
throw
catch
it.
mode, you do that special catch. Maybe try to hit that bonus, try to hit that excellent with that special berry. That'd be pretty cool to just utilize both things at once.
Yeah, like if you knocked it out and stuff instead of killing it, you had the option to catch and such, then you jump into Pokemon Go mechanics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like how they do with Terra Raids. You have the option to either catch or not catch it.
Yeah,
It's
which I
just
find kind of weird how just have like a yeah, don't catch it a function.
well, I mean, some people just don't want to catch a double of the same Pokemon over and over again and such like that, and they're just in
But you
it for
have
the
to if you
mystic.
want the different types.
No, you're just in it for the experience candy and the Herba Mysticas.
You're just in it to win it. Got it.
You're in it for the rewards. But anyway, so I
What
want
other
to.
genres are there? Like what are subgenres can you think of?
I think the subgenres that I could think of in terms of anime and such, like I'm gonna jump into horror because horror has a lot of subgenres and such like that. Is the type
Okay.
of horror that you can apply it to. So there's the psychological horror. There's just traditional horror, which is actually a thing. They do call it traditional horror and such. But then there's also body horror and such like that. It's called a body horror genre.
Now, out of all of those, what would Higurashi fall under?
I think Higurashi falls under a psychological, considering the fact that it's a repeated timeline.
True. And there's also like the point where they even have like people just dying in gruesome ways. And and just like torture in general. I think like one of the sisters was torturing the other one and she was pulling out her fingernails. To me, that was like a horrific sense of body horror right there.
Yeah, but mainly it's psychological, and then it would just be like another tag on it. And that's another thing. The anime right now, you could put multiple tags on whatever genre that you want, and such like that to categorize it to find what you like about it. Because anime right now is a lot more than just two tags on it.
They're saturated. They're heavily saturated.
Yeah, that's the thing, and such. But now in 2010 to 2019 and such like that, they express that very deeply because of the fact that we just get a bunch of experimental anime at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean one of the biggest things has been like deconstruction, and we were talking about that earlier. Modoka Magica. That's a deconstruction of like,
The traditional magical girl.
the traditional magical girl like archetype, type of genre.
It's supposed to be happy-go-lucky, all cutesy and everything, and it's like, oh nope, this is a psychological horror. Oh no,
Now, I kind of want to consider Konosuba to also be a deconstruction of the
um,
isekai genre because
it's a
it
comedy.
it's a comedy, but like it tries to make fun of like what the isekai genre is normally. Like you get
Yeah,
reincarnated or transported, you get this OP power, you get this super like, strong main character, and you got like all these like, side characters falling for them and all this and all that, and they go on these grand spectacular adventures and they get stronger. You learn like this deeper like lore aspect about the story.
It's a parody
Konosuba's like the
period.
complete yeah, it's the complete opposite of it. It's just but that's what I want to say. Like, I feel like it's more of a deconstruction than a parody.
Also, the fact is that they gathered all the people. So back then, um, you remember all those like food scenes that you would see in Studio Ghibli movies and be like, yes, I want to eat this and
I want
such
five of
because
those like weird Japanese foods.
they put a lot of effort into that. They just gathered a lot of people and said, okay, we're gonna make anime that's solely gonna be about how we could animate food really well and such like that. and everything. The concept of food, the relationship with food, and everyone that has it. Because that's the thing. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about Japanese and thinking because Japanese, besides a few other countries, has the lowest body weight proportion in the whole world. They're actually the lowest in terms of civilized because the other three countries that are less weight than them are all from countries of poverty.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And you want to know what the main reason why is?
Uh, diet and exercise?
Yes.
Big mystery, guys. We just figured out how to solve like morbid obesity.
Yeah, because like, what is it? A lot of people in Japan they don't eat out a lot, or even so, the takeout food is relatively healthy if you want cheap food and such because of the concept of the kombini.
Hmm.
And it's often fresh food. It's not like saturated foods that we have here. Like, okay, the broke college student that we have here and such like that. The only foods that we have is cup ramen and whatever chips that we could get a hold of those like large 12 party packs and such like that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Versus Japan, yes, it's still the ramen cup. Don't get me wrong, they still get the ramen cup and such like that. But they also get the choice of rice balls, which is often always fresh, made 2 times a week and such like that. Or in fact, they could get just straight up fresh cheese at a convenience store. Keep in mind, a convenience store is the equivalent of our gas stations in the U.S.
Yeah, I'd say that's
And
pretty comparable.
so they gather all these people in Japan and say, you know how you make this look pretty for food and such like that? We want to create a really good association with people that the food that we eat, while it's low on calories, very healthy and stuff, is still very delicious. We're not eating like rabbits around here and stuff like that and everything. So that's how the food anime genre came to be.
Honestly, I'm thankful for that. There's been a lot of good cooking anime like in these past few years.
And not just Food Wars, okay? Not just Food
Not just
Wars.
Food Wars, no.
I like personally I like the more homey vibes food anime like Restaurant to Another World or
Ah, yes, I too like my homies.
I also like there's a anime that I like to watch. It's called Isekaiya. I'm trying to remember. It's on YouTube. You can actually watch the whole series on YouTube. Isekaiya Nobu. That one's a really nice one and such. But that's basically this Isekaiya, which is the equivalent of like a bar for us in America. Um they
Yep.
they opened up their shop, but they were blessed by a shrine fox after praying for their business when they first opened for their business too well to a fantasy world. Like literally, they go through the back door, still Japan. Go back home, no problem and stuff. Front door is all fantasy world. They call their potatoes fritters. They pay with gold and everything. They don't understand any of the Japanese that's written on there. It's not like it's like automatically these guys know what the hell we're writing and stuff. No, no, no. They're being introduced to Japanese food as much as we are when we're looking through this anime for the first time.
That's the American way.
But I honestly I really liked it because of the fact that what is it like I'm just speaking from experience and stuff like that. A lot of people just don't have a good relationship with food. Period.
See it?
Okay, last point. Last point I wanted to talk about, and we're gonna stop talking about like anime as like the medium and such. We're gonna talk about the culture now.
The culture.
So the culture surrounding people who like anime, at least here in the West, is the fact that people are really more accepting of it now than it was back then. Like, can you like we're gonna get a little bit personal here. What was your experience about if people found out that you liked anime when you were younger?
Well, first of all, I had no idea that was called anime. In my mind, anime was like that super lewd stuff that was like happening on screen, and I was like, "Oh, I don't watch any of that. I watch those like other ones, like the other cartoons, like Pokemon. That's a pretty cool
Yeah,
cartoon."
Yeah, because
So the
anime was
concept of anime
labeled.
in mind just did not exist. Unless it was like
Yeah,
something completely lewd or like very raunchy or erotic. And I was like, well, and I was
that's
surprised.
not me.
I was very surprised and concerned when at the time, like I want to say closer to like middle school, my then at the time girlfriend said she liked anime. She was into it and she watched it with her mom and I was like thinking of like some of like the lewdest, like most like erotic things and I'm like, you guys watch that
You
together?
know stereotypical off-brand anime and stuff like that.
I was like, I thought, I thought she was talking about off-brand anime when she said anime. I was very confused for a second. I was like, you watched that with your parents? Uh, okay, well, you know, I'm not gonna judge.
But then you realize
And then
what
after we
they
broke up,
actually
I
meant.
learned what anime was, and I was like,
You didn't even learn while you were together. You learned after
no,
that. So
no.
this entire time while you were dating her, you were under the assumption she was watching off-brand anime with her parents.
I had a vague idea if it was like not straight up off-brand, but just very, very lewd, like High School DxD. I would have been like, interesting, but that's what you and your parents. We're like we are us. We got our own
No,
thing.
okay, so when I was younger and such like that, first of all, for context, I am an Asian in a non-Asian town. Let's just put it that way. And
That's a funny way to
when
describe it.
when I was told that I would like anime and such like
Wait a
that,
minute, aren't most towns here non-Asian towns?
well,
You know how
I was the
little
one.
then?
Well, look, I was the one Asian in a very Hispanic school. Okay?
Yes.
And so when people told me that, oh, I would like anime and stuff like that, I wanted to fight against the stereotype. Let's see, you see how that worked out.
I don't know. How did it turn out?
No, now I'm on a podcast talking about it.
I failed to see the connection here. Can you elaborate?
Anyway, so the fact is that when I began to watch it and such, people looked at me and thought, "Oh, she's just watching her home country's like shows and everything." When in fact, it's the wrong country. Period. I'm not from Japan. I'm from another
Funny.
country in Asia.
Funny you mentioned that. I had a friend who was Vietnamese, and everyone would just assume he's Chinese.
Oh
I was
yeah, no,
like,
don't trust
I was
me.
like, what the
Trust
heck is a
me.
China? What
Trust
is a
me, a lot of people.
Vietnam?
No, trust me, a lot of people. When the show Ni Hao Kai Lan came around and stuff like that, when I was in elementary school, everyone would make fun of me and mock me and just call me, just go at me and say Ni Hao Kai Lan, and I'm like, stop.
Wrong culture, wrong place.
Also wrong, and that's not even my name. Anyway, and when I grew up and such like that, people who liked anime were often shunned upon because we were quote unquote losers who didn't have time on their hands to watch or shows made by America or quote unquote real shows, which is like live action shows like Supernatural or The Office.
Yeah, that was just very commonplace.
Yeah, like now, what is it? I've heard uh, some of the kids, because I tutored a little bit and such, and sometimes some kids they're seen as cool for knowing anime that would be outside their age range and stuff like that kind of thing. Like them
My
watching.
niece, that I think is in middle school, is like
You're
all
not
like
sure of her age.
no, because I don't want to dox her. So,
Around the age.
suppose allegedly around middle school. Currently, I mean, like one of the biggest things she's into is Demon Slayer, and I'm like, aren't you a little too young for that? And then she gives me sass, but I mean that's just how it is. Um,
First of
but
all, you're
yeah,
her
I mean, like
uncle. Second of all, you're her. You're also like back then also the uncle who is younger than should be an uncle.
yes, but what is it like? She is like into Demon Slayer, and she talks about it with her friends, and My Hero, and I'm just like looking at it, I was like, I never pegged you for a nerd. So it goes to show like how long away anime has come for like even normal people,
I
kids.
mean, like, what is it? To go to a convention is kind of like a flex on your part to not
No one ever said it
only
was a flex. That's just cringe. It's not
no no no
based.
no 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 like a flex like money wise and such. You could go to a convention, spend all your money and stuff like that, and not regret it and such like that. Here's the reality, folks. We always regret how much we spent after a convention. We don't then.
I've never been to one, so
I
your opinions mean nothing to me.
but like now knowing anime and such is like knowing what current movies out right now and such like that. There's no problem with it. Being a nerd, period. Not just for otaku, just being a nerd, period. If you like Star Wars, if you like Marvel, comic books and stuff like that, is normal. It's mainstream now.
Yep.
And it's really how do I put it? It's really like on one hand, I'm very happy of where we're at right now, but on the other hand, couldn't this have gone a little bit faster for us when we were younger? I'm just saying, we were
You
all
make it sound
made
like as
fun
if
of.
you like suffered tragedy and discrimination.
I did.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
Because you didn't come out saying you liked it.
I never understood what it was, but I did like Pokemon.
Well, Pokemon's
And
different.
everyone like in
Pokemon
my
was
school
like
just
a
kind of like
white.
understood what Pokemon was, and it was popular, but no one ever really called it anime. Not until like my then at the time girlfriend, she brought it up, and I was like, I don't know, I
Well,
never saw it as that. It to me, it was always just a cartoon or one of
no,
them
like
Japanese shows. But
no,
I never
back
like
then. What was it back then? There was people
there
who
were
would
people.
uh, there were people who would say that Pokemon was like something against religion and such. Don't show your kids to Pokemon, all those things. Have you heard of those from back in the day?
No, I remember seeing Misty whip out the cross against a Ghastly. I was like, oh, I didn't know Misty was a believer of the cross.
Hold up, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. Angry parents against Pokemon.
Yeah, well, that's more well known now, but back in the day when I was a kid, no, that wasn't a problem. That wasn't a concern. In this town, it was just like another normal thing that was just accepted readily.
There was a parents have long feared that Pokemon is bad for kids, but this was written in 2016.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, I would understand when people would look at Yu-Gi-Oh cards and say that they were like creations of the devil and stuff like that. Because guess what? Pokemon, not Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh at the time was very had a lot of demons in there and stuff like that and everything. But guess what? It was because it was under the assumption that the culture was supposed to be under Egyptian terms, where there were multiple gods, and there were also gods that were evil that they also prayed to.
Yep, that's how it worked.
Hmm. But like America, Catholicism, and Christianity and stuff like that. No, 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 no. There's
You
only
can
one
say
God and stuff.
capitalism,
No, Catholicism.
cataclysm.
Cath, Catholicism.
Do you mean Catholicism?
No,
The religion.
Catholics. Catholics.
That's Catholicism.
I don't know. Okay.
Catholicism. I was like, what?
You said
Capitalism?
you said cataclysm as if we're referencing Miraculous Ladybug.
Or, just an apocalypse? What? Why does it have to be Miraculous Lady? What does Miraculous Ladybug have to do with this?
That's a move in there.
No, it's a word that exists IRL. You need to pick
Huh?
up a thesaurus. Clearly, you are not to be trusted for you peddle falsehoods.
But yeah, so
Pick up a
like
thesaurus, please.
so yeah, that's that was like the general like behavior around anime at the time, where like
No, it wasn't.
if it's not under like, or at least like we're gonna talk about like really harsh negatives from back in the day and stuff like that versus now. I think the harshest negative that we've seen as of now is not actually having to do with the anime period. It's the or at least like the I think the harshest thing that we've ever seen in terms of anime, like content related to the content of the anime,
Yeah.
is having to do with the LGBTQ community, ironically enough.
That was actually a point that I have here, that I was looking at, but I never found a time to bring it up.
Oh,
Increased
the fact.
representation.
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you, like, one of like the biggest things you see in anime is just like they even have a word coined for it. It's like dudes who are into like other dudes. They got like a very niche word for it. I forget what it is.
Yaoi?
No, more niche than that. I forgot what it was. But the dude was like, "No, I'm not like you're straight into men. Bi," and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever, dude. You're only into guys." And like, "No, I have a daughter, guys. I swim both ways." And they're looking at him like, "It's kind of hard to believe, my dude."
No, no, no. The fact that we have representation,
I don't know
both
what this
good
we
and
is.
bad, in anime is funny enough because now we have femboys,
Traps,
we have
reverse
traps,
traps.
and also the fact that there are non-binary characters too. Like look at Komi Can Communicate. There's a character in there that is referred to he or she no
Ah,
matter what.
the funniest part about that is that like, okay, so for that series itself, everyone's like name is a pun or a play on words of like their characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
The main dude himself, I forget like his name, like other than Tadano, like Tadashi or
Ta
whatever. It just means
Tadanobu.
like, yeah, it just means normal man or like something to that effect. So he's
And
average, and no matter what, he looks
I
average. There's nothing special, remarkable about him because he's just that. But the childhood friend
who
character, who
is
is
either male or
androgynous, very
female.
mysterious,
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, their name like Osana, like their name Najimi, I think is like short for Osana Najimi, which means childhood friend.
So
And
there's
their
nothing else
character
up there.
trait is that they're everyone's childhood like hood friends, but you never know if they're a guy or a girl because it's a non-specific word.
Yeah,
So they're intentionally just kept like a mystery.
and then of course there's also the fact that in I'm not just talking about LGBTQ community and stuff like that. The fact that we have people of color in anime too now.
Americans.
We have Americans, we have African Americans, we have other Asian cultures and such like that integrated in and such like that. We also have the fact that we have also
If they ever bring up curry,
Europeans.
it has to be people of India. No two ways about it. It has to be people of India. But like, no, I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen an anime that has an African American that was not an American.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think there is one, but it was made between the 2010 era. Is the samurai not samurai shampoo. I think it's Afro Samurai.
Yeah, that's more recent. And that is
But not in
historical.
2020 era. I mean, it's in the 2010 era, between 2010 2019.
Uh,
I think 2018, right? It came that time.
um, let's see here.
Afro Samurai.
Really, 2009.
Mm,
I
even before that.
okay. Yeah, hold on a second. I thought there was another one.
No, I think you're talking about something else. Are you talking
Yeah.
about the Jaden Smith anime on Netflix? Because that's not it.
No, there's one here that says Samuel L. Jackson is Afro Samurai. So there was another one. Yes.
But then also the fact that anime is getting to the point that we're having live action anime that's good now. Well, questionably good, not horrendously bad like the Dragon Ball live action movie back in the day.
It's just July 2022.
That was the
The
that was
manga after 20 years.
mm.
Where is it? I remember there was a more recent one. Point is, that is there was a historical one.
Yeah, that was
Oh, you know what
historical.
it is? I don't think it was called Afro Samurai. It's based on like on a different tale of an actual historical event that happened, which is too long-winded and complicated to
Well,
explain.
yeah, no, there is a historical African American man who became a samurai because he originally was a slave, but then when he escaped the Europeans that were visiting Japan and such, they took him and he became a servant of a Japanese lord.
Yeah. There's that, which is like the only ever like reference we get to like straight like Africa, like we're just cutting out the American part.
But yeah, no, anime's come a long way and such, even if we're not totally aware of like time passing by us and everything.
Yeah,
It's kind of I can't speak for
you
anime
can't
because
speak.
I can't speak for anime because I'm not in the industry and stuff like that, but I do want to say that I do hope anime continues to move forward and put a good step forward instead of one step forward, two steps back kind of thing, like most like media industry is taking right now, right?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like, there's been like yeah, as you've said it, like this has been like anime's come like a long way since early childhood. I mean, like it's it's become like this massive international industry. It's become more culturally accepted in many different places around the world, not just America. I mean, like France, Canada, even Mexico. Mexicans love their Dragon Ball. Like, let me tell you what.
We're on the border of Dragon Ball country. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I mean like the medium has even like evolved into like this super wide range of genres and themes for like many different like types of like interests and tastes for like different people.
And now
And
I don't even know where they're gonna take their next step to. What are they gonna do? Combine all the genres together to make one giant pseudo genre, or are we gonna take animation to the point that anime will start being virtual reality viewing only, where you can actually interact in the anime, or we get to holographic presentations?
I have no idea, but all I know is that it's just expanding and it seems to just keep expanding and honestly,
And
I don't know.
we're just talking about the media of creating stories and stuff. We haven't talked about the fact that how much they touched music as a medium, as well as the fact that video games period is also been graced by anime as well.
Well, not to mention like the light novel and like the manga uh industry as well because I mean like
They've taken so many steps ahead that I don't know where they're gonna go, but at the same time I look forward to wherever they're going.
yeah, same here.
Anyway, so I think that clears up for today's episode. Of course, do you have any last words to say, Raptor?
Stay safe, drink water, enjoy the new year.
And of course, we will see you next time on Otaku Nightly Hour, everyone. Bye!